Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember watching it when I was younger. I fell in love with this show when Yugi was facing Kaiba, and Kaiba had 3 blue-eyed white dragons on his side of the field that he just normal summoned without any tribute. But then, Yugi drew into the 5 pieces of Exodia.
Exodia! Obliterate!
From that moment on, I knew I had to get Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And the show did its job of selling me merchandise like any cartoon of that time. It's no surprise now that the show made up a new game to sell more merchandise called Dungeon Dice Monster. A little odd really, because they only showed it for 4 episodes in the show and then went back to the card game. But unlike the card show, where they didn't follow any of the rules from the real life card game, Dungeon Dice Monsters did. It's still a confusing game though. So on today's episode of Games and Games, we are looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters. Luckily for me, a video game was made about this board game on the Game Boy Advance. So I will be using footage of that game as I explain how it's played. Before the game starts, a player needs 15 dice to play. A player is chosen at random to start and has to roll 3 dice from their collection, or as it's called in the game, dice pool. If the dice roll onto a crest, that crest is stored into your crest pool to use for later, except for the summoning crest. Summoning crests are used to summon a monster or item in the die, or as the show calls it, Dimension the Dice! But they have to land on 2 or more matching die levels. Monsters and items have levels that show how powerful they are. To balance the game, level 1 monsters and items have 4 summoning crests on them to make them easier to summon. And the higher the level, the less summoning crests they have on the die to make them harder to summon. Once the player has 2 or more of the same level summoning crest in a row, they can summon one of the matching die to the field. The field is a 13 by 19 grid with 2 die masters on opposite sides. When summoning something, it will create a path on the field that has to be attached to another path owned by you or connected to your die master. The goal of the game is to create a path from your side of the field to your opponent's side of the field to kill their die master. Creating these paths are necessary as your monsters can only travel through them. However, for your monsters to move, the player has to use movement crest stored in your crest pool. For each block the monster moves, it uses up 1 movement crest. While it is not possible to create a path on top of another path, monsters could travel through enemy paths towards the die master. To protect one's die master, they have monsters battle to destroy each other. Each monster has a certain amount of heart, attack value, and defense value. In order for one monster to attack another, the player has to use up 1 attack crest from their crest pool. The defending monster can either wait and take the full hit, or use 1 guard crest to guard against it. Guarding causes the attacking monster's attack value to go against the defending monster's defense value. Go figure. If the value of the 2 are the same, nothing happens. But if one value is higher than the other, the difference between the 2 is taken away from the health of the monster with the lower value. For every 10 damage done, 1 heart is taken away. If a monster loses all their hearts, they are destroyed. Certain monster types have advantage against other monster types. That gives them a 10 attack bonus if they attack, or subtract 10 from their attacker when they are defending. There are also 3 passive abilities that some monsters have. The flying ability lets a monster walk over other monsters and not be attacked except by other flying monsters or monsters that say they can attack flyers. But they require twice the amount of movement crest to move than other monsters. Tunnelers have the ability to walk through enemy monsters, and the archers can attack flying monsters. The last 2 crests are magic and trap, which are used for monster effects. Monsters have effects or abilities that they use from being summoned, or for the more powerful ones, use up crest. I don't know why this game has 2 crests for abilities when 1 would have sufficed. They probably need another crest to fill out the 6-sided die, so they just slapped another crest for abilities. In the end, in order to win the game, the player has to hit the opponent's die master 3 times. As I played the game, I wasn't really enjoying it. While there is strategy involved in the game on whether a person should focus on gathering crests or take up space on the board while summoning at the beginning, after a while the game becomes super slow. with turns passing by to get enough crests to make a play, since everything uses different crests, and getting those crests are decided on a literal dice roll. This probably happened because I was facing a CPU, and a human player would probably be more interactive, but good luck facing another human. A physical version of this game was made but sold poorly, making the game very expensive now. If you are interested in playing this game without selling your soul to the Shadow Realm, you could try the Workshop mod on Steam, link in the description below. But do keep in mind that you need the game the mod was based off and the Game Maker Studio, which is not exactly cheap. Also, you can't play by yourself. There is a YouTuber by the name of Majin Wamu creating a standalone game, but he hasn't made an update video in a while around the time of posting this video. In the end, the best way to try this game is with the Game Boy Advance game. Welcome to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video explaining how to play Dungeon Dice Monsters. If you know of a minigame, spin-off game, or anything of that nature that deserves some recognition, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, my lovely patients, thank you so much for watching, and tune in next time. Bye bye.